Hello, giraffes. I have a book here for you called The Tiny Seed. It was written and illustrated by a man named Carle. He's one of my favorite authors and illustrators, and we read this book way back in the fall, in the Giraffe Class, in the fall or the autumn, and it's the story of what happens to a tiny seed. And remember that all plants start out as a tiny seed. So a seed is a pretty amazing, powerful little thing. But for a seed to grow into a plant, special things are needed and special things have to happen. So let's read this book about the journey of the tiny seed. The Tiny Seed by Carle. It is autumn. A strong wind is blowing. It blows flower seeds high in the air and carries them far across the land. One of the seeds is tiny, smaller than any of the others. Will it be able to keep up with the others? And where are they all going? You can see the tiny seed. He's at the very end of the line of blowing seeds. And he's not quite as big as the others. One of the seeds flies higher than the others. Up, up it goes. It flies too high, and the sun's hot rays burn it up. But the tiny seed sails on with the others. You see that seed that got too close to the sun? It's on fire. But there's the tiny seed, still safe, tagging along. Another seed lands on a tall and icy mountain. The ice never melts and the seed cannot grow. The rest of the seeds fly on, but the tiny seed does not go as fast as the others. There's the seed that landed on the icy mountaintop. And there's the tiny seed still flying on, carried by the wind. Now they fly over the ocean. One seed falls into the water and drowns. The others sail on with the wind, but the tiny seed does not go as high as the others. There's the tiny seed. Here's the one that fell in the ocean. One seed drifts down onto the desert. It is hot and dry, and the seed cannot grow. Now the tiny seed is flying very low, but the wind pushes it on with the others. Here's the seed that lands in the desert, where it's too hot and dry. And then the tiny seed, you can see, still not as high as the others, but still tagging along. Finally, the wind stops and the seeds fall gently down on the ground. A bird comes by and eats one seed. The tiny seed is not eaten. It is so small that the bird does not see it. That's a good thing. Here's the seed getting eaten by the bird. And can you find the tiny seed? Very hard because it's so small, but I believe that's it right there. Now it is winter. After their long trip, the seeds settle down. They look just as if they're going to sleep in the earth. Snow falls and covers them like a soft white blanket. A hungry mouse that also lives in the ground eats a seed for his lunch, but the tiny seed lies very still and the mouse does not see it. You can see the mouse eating the seed there. But the tiny seed, let me see, it's so small I'm having trouble finding it. It's right here. Now after winter, it is spring. This is the season that we're having right now. After a few months, the snow has melted. It is really spring. Birds fly by, the sun shines, rain falls. The seeds grow so round and full, they start to burst open a little. Now they're not seeds anymore, they are plants. First, they send roots down into the earth. Then their little stems and leaves begin to grow up toward the sun and air. There is another plant that grows much faster than the new little plants. It is a big, fat weed. See it right here, how it's bigger than these others? And it takes all the sunlight and the rain away from one of the small new plants. And so that little plant dies. The tiny seed hasn't even begun to grow yet. It will be too late. Hurry! But finally, it too starts to grow into a plant. So you can see the plant beside the weed, the little one. The weed took all of the sunlight and took its water, so it's not going to live. But the tiny seed has started to grow into this plant. Not as fast as the others, but he's catching up. The warm weather also brings children out to play. They too have been waiting for the sun in the springtime. One child does not see the plants as he runs along and, oh, he breaks one. Now it can't grow anymore. I don't think he meant to, but when he ran, he stepped on that one, and that was the end. I believe this is still the tiny seeds plant growing here. The tiny plant that grew from the tiny seed is growing fast, but its neighbor grows even faster. Before the tiny plant has 3 leaves, the other plant already has 6. And look, a bud, and now even a flower. But what is happening? First, there are footsteps. Then a shadow looms over them. Then a hand reaches down and breaks off the flower. And that's the end of that plant. But can you see the plant from the tiny seed down here? Still growing. A boy has picked the flower to give to a friend. Now it is summer, because summer comes after spring. Now that tiny plant from that tiny seed is all alone. It grows on and on. It doesn't stop. The sun shines on it and the rain waters it. It has many leaves. It grows taller and taller. It is taller than the people. It is taller than the trees. It is taller than the houses. And now a flower grows on it. People come from far and near to look at this flower. It is the tallest flower they have ever seen. It is a giant flower. Wow. All from that tiny seed. All summer long, the birds and the bees and the butterflies come visiting. They have never seen such a big and beautiful flower. Now it is autumn again. The days grow shorter, the nights grow cooler, and the wind carries yellow and red leaves past the flower. Some petals drop from the giant flower and they sail along with the bright leaves over the land and down to the ground. The wind blows harder. The flower has lost almost all of its petals. It sways and bends away from the wind, but the wind grows stronger and shakes the flower. Once more the wind shakes the flower, and this time the flower's seed pod opens. Out come many tiny seeds that quickly sail away on the wind. This was the seed pod of the plant, and look at all of the seeds that got blown out. And that's the end. I thought there'd be one more page, but that is the end. So it's up to you to decide what happened when all of those seeds blew away. I wonder. I hope you enjoyed this book called The Tiny Seed. And I hope all of you are doing well and enjoying the springtime. We wish you well, we wish you well, all through the day today. We wish you well. Goodbye.